Pronouns are everywhere these days. People declaring their pronouns, people declaring they'll not declare their pronouns. Why are pronouns such a big deal? For one thing, pronouns have always been everywhere. Language without pronouns would be very redundant because every time anyone wanted to refer to a noun, a person, place, or thing, they'd have to repeat the noun. So instead of having to say, "Did the lady give the candy to the children?" Yes, the children ate the candy and the children loved the candy. We can say, "Did the lady give the candy to the children?" Yes, they ate it and they loved it. Or, if we were already talking about a lady distributing candy to children, we could say, "Did she give it to them?" Yes, they ate it and they loved it. The controversy is not that pronouns replace nouns and serve as reference, which we should be thankful for, but that the pronoun you choose to refer to someone reflects your identity, their identity, and your relationship, or rather, the relationship you think you have and want to present to the world. Because pronoun choice is inherently social, and because you cannot escape using them, see I just did, it's important to understand the topic of this video, the power of pronouns. Pronouns have the important grammatical function of holding sentences and conversations together, but they're also a kind of address form, which gives them social power. An address form is a word we use to call or refer to a person, and in so doing, show them respect, solidarity, disrespect, or even intimacy. It can be used for anyone. It can be an honorific like sir or doctor, a friendly term like dude, bro, sister, or mom, a pejorative like jerk or idiot or dork or nerd, or other terms you know but maybe I shouldn't say here, or an intimate term like baby, sweetie pie, or pumpkin. Wait a minute, why do we think the word pumpkin is a cute form of address in the US? It's not clear, but did you know you can call an Australian you like a possum and they'll find it endearing? Or in French, you can call your sweetheart a cabbage, or your lover Shona in many parts of India, which means gold. Anyway, the point is we use address forms to show how we feel about others and where we stand with them socially, a social superior, an equal, an enemy, or an intimate. Pronoun choice in many languages directly reflects the social standing of the speaker and the addressee. If you've studied Spanish, you know that the difference between using usted or tú with someone is whether you're being formal or informal with them. You can ask someone's name in two ways, ¿Cómo se llama usted? Or ¿Cómo te llamas? If you want to show respect to the person, perhaps they are of a higher social status than you, or older, or you're in a formal situation, you'd use the first, ¿Cómo se llama usted? If you're asking the name of an equal, perhaps someone the same age as you, or a person of lower status than you or younger, then you'd use the second, ¿Cómo te llamas? Now, you can use them wrong accidentally. If you said the first to a child, people would think you were being silly, unless the child was royalty or something. And if you said the second to a respected village elder, people would think you were being disrespectful. Now, you can also use them wrong on purpose if you want to challenge the social order or make some rhetorical point. It's the same in French, German, Italian, Russian, and many other languages. English used to have thou for informal and equal relationships, and you for formal and unequal relationships. But over time, thou was abandoned. No one is really sure why, but language changes over time in ways that are sometimes difficult to figure out. This doesn't mean that we don't or can't show respect or solidarity towards each other in English anymore. It just means we do it in other ways. The social power of pronouns lies in their ability to imply something about the speaker, the listener, or the referent. First person like I, me, we, or us. Second person like you, and third person like he, she, it, or they. These pronouns are used strategically in different ways. For example, if a politician says, "We Americans have always pulled ourselves up by our bootstraps," they're using what's called the inclusive we to make you think that there's someone who has worked hard just like an average person, even though they may have been born into a very wealthy family. This is a good example of how pronouns can be used to make a plain folks appeal, which is a well-known propaganda technique. If the same politician then says, "They don't work as hard as us," he's using an us versus them strategy to create an in-group identity and to exclude whoever they might be. By emphasizing this dichotomy, and by repeating the differences over and over, the politician forces his followers to think in black and white, preventing them from being able to see any similarities or shades of gray. Us versus them is an effective strategy to build false dichotomies, another propaganda technique. As another example, when a commercial says, "You're in good hands with us," using the generic you, you might feel like they're speaking directly to you. This generic use of you is powerful because it can refer to anyone, not just you, the listener. Even though the business doesn't know who you are specifically, you feel like they do. Finally, in English, we can use the singular they to refer to a third person without specifying gender. Now, we've always done this, but traditional grammarians have always disliked it because they're perfectionists and think the are of they are means it must be plural. But these grammarians seem to forget that we use you are for a single person, even though it used to be only for more than one person, and then it was used to address one or more than one person respectfully. In other words, we've been using you are to address either a single person or a group of people for about 500 years in English, and usually people aren't confused. So why can't we do the same with they? Third-person personal pronouns in English, when used to refer to a human, are traditionally gendered, he and she. We can't call a person an it unless it's a baby, oddly, as in the baby wants its bottle. If someone tells us what third-person pronoun we should use to refer to them when they are not present, why shouldn't we use these pronouns out of respect? Or why can't we just use singular they if we're not sure? Language changes over time, but the fact that we can use pronouns in address forms to show respect to others, or to be disrespectful and offend them, hasn't. It's your choice. So how can you be aware of when pronouns are being used strategically as a tool for power? First, when you read a headline, a tweet, a social media post, an email, or when you hear a news story or an advertisement, be aware of who the author is, who the speaker is. These might be different people, actually, and what their purpose is. Even if you don't consider yourself part of the audience, observe how they're using address forms and pronouns, and try to decide if it's effective or not and why. What identities are they claiming or projecting? What kind of relationships are they implying between them and the person or people they're addressing or referring to? Second, how do they refer to themselves? How do they use we, us, ours, and who exactly does that refer to? Are they implying that they're one of you? Are they trying to show that they are not someone else? Third, how do they address the audience, that is, the listener, the reader, or the watcher? Do they say you or sir or other forms of address? If they use you, is it generic or specific? Finally, how do they refer to people who are not present? That is, how do they use he, she, it, or they? Are they careful to use singular they if they need to? Remember, if someone refers to another person who is not present with a gendered pronoun, they're implying to the listener that they believe that gender to be accurate. If they know that the person prefers a specific pronoun and they don't use it, it might be considered a face threat. Basically, they're purposefully being impolite. And again, if you want to be impolite, that's your choice. This video was developed as part of the Clarify Initiative, a privately funded project with the goal of raising critical language awareness and media literacy throughout society. It corresponds with Critical Language Awareness, Language Power Techniques and English Grammar, an open educational resource available through the University of Arizona. The authors of the video are John Reinhardt and Anuj Gupta of University of Arizona English Department. Video production is by Pravesh Hingmang.